My name is Sloan and welcome to my channel. If you don't know my story, I was adopted at birth, raised in privilege, spiraled into addiction, and ultimately ended up homeless and on the streets. I'm so glad you're here. If this is your first time, thanks for coming back. If you're returning, and much love to my subscribers because y'all put a little extra pep in my step. Now, let me just preface this by saying I am not at all trying to glorify drugs. They've given me some pretty fun times, but there's really nothing funny about them. So whatever you do, don't pick up. And I told you guys that this video was going to be the celebration of hitting the 100 subscribers mark, which I did. Thanks to y'all. Appreciate it so much. And it was going to be a special little anniversary edition about how Alan and I met and a very interesting story of our first date. And we're going to hold off on that for just a little bit because Alan's sort of camera shy, but also something happened that kind of threw a wrench in my plans. I found out that on Thursday night, Uncle Randy, as I call him, no actual relation, but he was just the uncle in this crazy dysfunctional street family that I had in Raleigh. But yeah, he passed away, and I should have eaten before I did this. My tummy's grumbling, so if you hear that, sorry, it's my stomach. I'm hungry. But yeah, anywho, so Unc passed away on Thursday night, and that just breaks my heart because I can't imagine that it was very pleasant. I mean, when someone leaves this earth, it's not, but he was in very, very poor health, and I can't stand the fact that he was on the streets, and he probably died alone in the hospital room, didn't have anyone there with him. I don't know where his body is. I don't know anything that's going on, and it's just a very sobering thought. He was old. He was in his late 60s, or older, I should say, and you know, I realized that with the exception of Joey, peel the banana, but with the exception of Joey and Stuart, Stuart has since moved, and Joey's incarcerated where he belongs indefinitely for the rest of his pathetic little existence. But I digress. Yeah, I'm the last person alive from that whole crew. And you know, it's not that surprising statistically speaking because I was the youngest by probably about at least 20 years and then on upward. But it's just like everyone's just gone. Like, I mean, it seems like a lot's happened, and you know, with what happened to Larry, it's just crazy. And as I said, statistically speaking, I was the youngest, and I know that I should probably be outliving all these people, especially since I'm not, you know, drinking and drugging myself into oblivion. And you know, I've embraced recovery, and I'm living in a home. But yeah, gosh, I just wanted to talk to y'all. I mean, I've gotten a light, I've gotten a microphone, editing software, and I have all these bells and whistles. I'm not even using them because, you know, I've got all these videos mapped out, but anytime I sit down to do one, you know, something else just kind of happens organically that I feel compelled to discuss. And it's very similar to how I do my blogs. I know a lot of people, you know, plan them out. And planning is good. Planning is good. I do have a plan for this channel, but you know, people plan their blogs and set up like a auto upload schedule. I can't do that. I cannot do that. When I blog, it's what I need to say right then and there. And truth be told, I don't even proofread it. I mean, I will at some point. I'll go back and correct it. But anyways, okay, I've totally gotten off the topic. But yeah, so Randy Unc passed away. And because the end of his life was not the best, I just wanted to share how I met him. And as I said, he was in poor health. I don't know the extent of all of his health issues because sometimes it was kind of hard to, I don't know. It could have been cancer, it could have been a heart attack, but I do know that he had cirrhosis. He was a very, very heavy drinker, and I first met him in 2014, and when I met him, he had just gone into a wheelchair. He could still walk a little bit, like he could stand up with assistance if he absolutely had to, but yeah, it was getting mobility was very, very hard. And since then, about 2 years ago, he lost a leg, and then within the past year, he lost his other leg. So he didn't have legs, and he was in a wheelchair. Just, I hate to say stomp because that sounds so crass, but it was hard. He was very, very sick, and when I met him, he was long story, but they called him the mayor of Covington Pike. I'm not even going to get into that. But I first met him, like I said, in 2014. And I'll never forget it was my first full day of being homeless. And let me just say, when I refer to being homeless, so I was definitely on the streets, but I want to make sure that it's abundantly clear. My parents didn't like toss me out like a piece of garbage. I did this voluntarily because I'm going to take full ownership. I had gotten so out of control with my drug usage that I felt like anyone who expressed concern for me or was interfering with my ability to do what I needed to do was just, yeah, I'm just going to leave. So, yeah, I don't want anyone to think now. My parents did give me tough love, and, they've long since stopped giving me cash, and, they weren't enabling me. I mean, it wasn't like they said, "Oh, you are not welcome in our home." No, it wasn't like that. So I just want to make sure that if anybody sees that, I don't want them to think poorly upon my parents because they did everything right. I'm the one who deviated sharply. And when I left, I don't even think they knew the extent of how bad things were because pretty much right up until I left, like, I had a full-time job and well, anyways, I'm getting into about 3 other videos, but I first made my way out to the streets of Raleigh with my boyfriend at the time, Dave. And as I said, it was our first full day of being homeless. And this real short little guy, he probably was like 5'2", comes up, he's wearing all black and has like a chain necklace on. And his name was, I'll just say his name, CJ. His name was CJ. And he was always kind of shysty. I got like bad vibes from him. But anyways, I don't know where he went. I don't know what happened. But he came up and said to Dave, my boyfriend, he says, "Is this your old lady?" Number one, I hate that term. Number two, I was standing right there. I can talk for myself. I can't stand it when, people talk to my significant other, like, as if they're, no, I'm grown. I can talk for myself. Thank you very much. But anyways, he asked, "Is this your old lady? Why are you guys out here? Do you have a place to stay?" And the night before, Dave and I, this is not funny. In case y'all haven't noticed, I have a really bad habit of laughing at the most inopportune times. And sometimes things aren't funny or downright inappropriate. That's just kind of, I don't know, that's my default defense mechanism. But anywho, Dave and I had slept in a sleeping bag in the woods the night before. That, again, that's a story for a different video. Let me know in the comments if y'all want a video that talks about how Dave and I actually ended up out there because I'm kind of skipping a lot. But so we see CJ and he says, "Well, if you've got a girl out here, you don't need to be just, sleeping wherever. We've got a place. But, I feel really bad that your old lady's out here, but I need to check with the mayor," that would be Randy, "to see if it's cool if you come over." So fast forward a little bit, and it was indeed cool, and that started my residency at the Cave, which is a place where I stayed on and off for the next 2014, the next 4 years until it was ultimately demolished. Again, another video for another day. But at this point, the Cave was still extremely nice. It was an office complex over by Methodist North, over near Covington Pike and Austin P. And it still had electricity, it still had water. It was an old medical complex with some office suites, but I mean, it had just been completely abandoned. But it was very, very nice, all things considering. And, a lot of people hadn't been in there. It was just a very small circle, and, we ended up staying there. And so that's how I met Randy. And, he was a trip. He was just a trip. He did not mince words, never pretended to be functioning. I mean, he knew he was an alcoholic. He knew it was bad for him. He knew it was probably ultimately going to be his demise, but he liked his 40 ounce, or now it's 42 ounce. Those extra 2 ounces are important, but of Steel Reserve. And he was always drinking Steel Reserve. I guess that's part of where I got it from back in my drinking days. But it was so funny. At the very beginning, it was Dave, me, Stuart, Randy, and I don't think Bosie had come back yet. And I think Joey was, I think he was at the penal farm. But anyways, so it was our little, and CJ was there. And then another couple was there. They were really scary. They were like trained people and rode the rails. And like I had nightmares about that girl. And anywho, yeah, that was back before, when I was just doing a lot of dog food. And everything about being homeless was just this big H. Hayes adventure, and reality hadn't really set in, and I just still thought it was, this funny little heavenly adventure. And yeah, whew. But anywho, so we were all there, and I remember Randy would always freak out about his radio. He had to have a radio, and at the time, once we all kind of got in there, Dave was really, really ill. He had a lot of medical issues. CJ had run off. Bosie was with his mom. And then it was me, Joey, and Stuart. And they said Joey and Stuart love Stuart. Can't say the same about Joey. I don't talk to him anymore. From what I know, he's doing really well. I'm so proud of him. He's clean and sober and doing the damn thing with the men's rehabilitation center where he lives. So go Stuart. But yeah, because Stuart and Joey had been on the streets for so long, they weren't really used to having females around, much less like a girlfriend or anything, as it had been years. Randy used to say that Stu Baby and JoJo hadn't had a puss since the puss had them. So that was kind of the running joke. But I say all that to say this. They kind of had bad manners. Chivalry wasn't at the forefront of their agenda, and there was nothing malicious behind it. It's just they were kind of, like I said, out of touch. So as I'd said, Randy was in a wheelchair. And I was the one who was just pushing him all over the place. And never once, did Stuart or Joey be like, hey, can we get that for you? It was just, and I think Dave, I don't know where Dave was at all this, but yeah, so me and Randy really bonded like that. And, he would always share beer with me, and we'd talk, and he loved his radio. He had to have his radio, and he would always lose his radio or it would get stolen. But, yeah, he would call me his niece. He would call me princess. And, he spoiled me as much as he could. I mean, I've never seen anybody. Like, he taught me a lot of what I know about hustling. Like, seriously. Or in terms of, like, the cardboard sign, panhandle thing. He didn't even have to do anything. He didn't even have to hold a sign. He did have the sign, and I loved it. Because, like I said, he was unapologetically himself right up to the end. This just grumpy old man, and his sign said, why lie, need a beer. And if if he even held that, you know, people would just hand him beer, hand him 20s, bring him clothes, bring him food. I had some lady come bring me a bag full of clothes, and I wasn't even out there. I had just gone to check on him and was just sitting there talking to him. And, you know, I guess she'd recognize me, and she brings me a bag of clothes just 'cause I was with him. But, yeah, he he had a crazy life. He really did. I've got so many stories. It's getting kind of long, and you know, I'm probably gonna use for my thumbnail just a picture of Dave and me, because it was Dave. Like that was how we got out there. Just everything just kind of grew from that. Unfortunately, I do not have a picture of Randy. It makes me so upset because I've always said, I told him, I saw him once since I first made YouTube, started making YouTube videos, and I told him about it, and I wanted him to come on this channel so badly, and he'd agreed to it. I mean, it would have to be like beep, 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 like every other word beeping, as he had such a foul mouth. But yeah, that would have been good if I ever do a podcast. He would have definitely been a guest of honor, and y'all would have loved him. I'm gonna try and get a picture. I don't think there are any pictures. I don't have any. I've got pictures of pretty much everyone else except him. But oh man, yeah, I'm really gonna miss that guy. I'm glad he's not hurting anymore. But I mean, he's a legend. If you've ever been anywhere near that Walmart in Raleigh or Methodist North or coming up Covenant Pike, like, you probably saw him. You know, the old guy with the long beard and ponytail in the wheelchair. Um, I still to this day have a habit of whenever I'm outside, because, you know, he's in a wheelchair, and sometimes he would run out of money, and he would be like, Princess, go find me some cigarettes. So even though I don't smoke, I've never been a smoker, you know, there I'd be walking up and down the sidewalk, you know, doing the loop at this shopping center, and, you know, my eyes trained on the ground looking for cigarette butts. And yeah, I would collect them, and you know, I have to suppress the urge to do that now. I mean, I don't smoke, and Alan can buy his cigarettes, which, by the way, he buys the most expensive kinds ever. There's some American Spirit in the black boxes. But yeah, I don't have to be searching on the ground for them, but I'm always like, oh, that's a good one, that's a good one. So, probably one of my favorite recent memories within the past few months. Him and another guy in a wheelchair who was also missing a limb got into a fight. And y'all, again, I'm sorry, this is me laughing at bad times. But they both pull out like big ass knives, like machete looking type things. And they're just, you know, sword fighting, but they're both in wheelchairs. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the cops came and broke it up. But yeah, they're just both stubborn, grumpy old men. And yeah, that was Randy. I love him so much. I'm going to miss him. I hope he's with Yvonne. That was his wife. I never got to meet her, but he told me we would be best friends because we were so alike. It was scary, but that was the love of his life. He was never with another woman after she passed, like, not in any sense of the word. Never gave his heart to anybody else. And I like to think that, you know, they're, you know, in the great ocean, fishing, drinking Steel Reserve, running around, walking, just being happy together. And yeah, Randy, this video is for you. I love you. I miss you. Yeah, this is just a really heavy time of the year because, you know, it's a few days from when Bosie died. Well, that says Bosie. You can't really see. But, yeah, everyone's gone. It's just crazy. But I have rambled on long enough for this completely unscheduled rambling. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get back on schedule. Now that I've got all my goodies, I can film like a lot at once and then edit it. So hopefully I'll have more of a regular schedule. And I don't even think I said at the beginning. I try to put out a video every other week. That's what I'm committing to, every other weekend. I know this is a little bit late because, you know, there's a lot going on. But yeah, I would really, really appreciate it if you like this video. Show it some love down below. Let me know what you want to hear more about, like Raleigh and the homeless experience. Well, people just think that's endlessly fascinating. And I get it. If you haven't lived it, I see why that would be very interesting. But yeah, on that note, I am out. Don't be mean to anybody in the comments. You know, you can disagree with somebody without being a real a-hole about it, and you know, it's possible to disagree and still be respectful. Imagine that. So on that note, I am gone for this bi-weekly segment. And yeah, peace and love, y'all. See you next time.